This is Russell Fagan, aka Sinistral Rifleman. Recently, I've had some people ask me when I was going to start posting match videos again, and there's been a few reasons why I haven't posted match videos in quite a while. The first is that between a combination of government mandates and voluntary closures, almost all the matches in Arizona were not held between the end of March through the end of May. Since opening back up, match attendance has been limited so that only 8 to 10 people are on a particular stage at a time. The second is that the firearms industry is busier than it has ever been since I entered it in 2001. This is by far the most intense cycle of panic buying that I've ever been through. Inventory was depleted at the start of COVID-19 because of fears of potential civil unrest, and now with actual civil unrest occurring, the situation has gotten even worse. As my workload increases, my time and energy for editing YouTube videos decreases accordingly. Thirdly, I've been using my time available to produce and edit more videos that were shared on InRange TV. InRange has a substantially larger audience, and I think it's a better use of my time to produce videos that will be shared there that will actually get eyes on them. I suspect YouTube blacklisted my channel some time ago, and that's why I went from having hundreds of thousands of views to tens of thousands of views to now just a few hundred to 1,000 views on most of the videos published here. So in that regard, InRange is a much more effective platform for publishing things outside of my niche match content. And finally, the production of the KP15 mold and the What Would Stoner Do 2020 launch is taking up more of my time and mental energy. I finally have a free day to edit match videos. This is going to be a compilation video of all the matches that occurred in June. It will not be all of the stages, just the more interesting ones. First up is the June 2020 Rio Black Rifle match. This match is held the first Saturday of every month at the Rio Salado Sportsman's Club. I'm using my KE15 action carbine with the new Vortex Gen 3 Razor 1-10. This stage has targets from 100 to 300 yards. I had to shift over there to avoid shooting through the brush. Once I clear this area, I have to go to the top of the tower and re-engage all the same targets. I will be doing a review of this optic on InRange in the future. Before you ask me my opinion on this optic in the comments, understand that I do not have strong opinions on equipment until I've used it multiple times under varying conditions. This stage starts with some 50-yard hanging steel, and then from the following positions, the shooter engages targets out at a couple hundred yards. I dial up to about 5 power for the rest of the stage. 10 power is just too much for most of these target engagements. The eye box gets really tight, and the field of view is too narrow to transition target to target as easily. At this match, I ended up 1st out of 17 in stealth and 5th out of 79 overall. This is the Rio Salado multi-gun match held the second Saturday of every month. On this stage, the shooter must engage all the hanging steel, rotate the spinner with rifle, and then move forward to engage the same targets again with pistol. If I had this to do again, I would rotate the spinner last, so it would be moving even more when I get up here with my pistol. But I do engage the spinner first because it's still moving, and I can use that inertia to my advantage.
That was smart using the momentum on the rifle spinner.
That's science.
It was still going.
I'll just use this stage to talk about using the Aimpoint Acro. I've had mine since late January, and aside from battery life, it is the best pistol red dot that I have used to this point. I really like the way it mounts to the slide, and the fact it is sealed against the environment makes it better and more useful for everything that I do. The Sig Sauer Romeo 8T and Juliet 4 magnifier that are on my rifle in this video will be reviewed on InRange in the future. Stages like this really aren't my cup of tea. I spend more time memorizing where everything's at than actually shooting the stage. Stages like the previous one or the one after this are the type of stages that I like to shoot, straight up shooting tests. This stage starts out engaging some pistol targets. Got to knock down these poppers, neutralize the Texas Star, then move to the next position and neutralize this plate rack. From this first rifle position, I have to engage 6 hanging steel targets at about 90 yards. From the second position, I have to engage those same 6 targets, then 4 targets out at 200 to 300 yards. I go 1 for 1 on all the rifle steel on this stage. At this match, I'm 2nd out of 12 in stealth and 10th out of 76 overall. This is the June 2-Gun Action Challenge match held the 3rd Saturday of the month at the Pima Pistol Club. This stage requires that the shooter engage 2 targets at 200 and 3 targets at 100 from 5 different positions. The shooting positions are close enough together that it's faster to just crawl on my knees to the next one or shuffle to them rather than get all the way up and get all the way down. I end up with an overall stage win on this stage by quite a wide margin.
I was worried he was going to par out.
This stage requires that the shooter engage these 2 targets at 50 yards, then move to the VTAC barricade, engage the targets through each of 3 ports, then move back to the start position to re-engage the targets again, and this process repeats back and forth until all of the VTAC barricade ports have been used. I will take this moment to point out that masks were required for this match to limit the spread of COVID-19 if anyone was indeed carrying it. From a practical standpoint, though, the mask accomplished 2 other things for me. 1, I didn't need to wear sunscreen, which I hate wearing in these dusty environments because it just feels gross. Secondly, as I engaged targets from these low ports, particularly the next iteration, it saved me from breathing in a bunch of dirt. So I will likely continue the practice of wearing a recon wrap over my face for these matches in the future because it makes the physical experience much more pleasant.
I'm not a fan of
Things are going to get really dusty from these low ports as my comp is rotated sideways and just sprays dirt up in the air. My hesitation between shots is waiting for the dust to clear so I can see the next target. Repositioning my mask over my nose because, again, I don't want to breathe in all this crap coming off the ground. The targets are far enough apart in transition that I have to reposition my body to get an angle on them from this port. The larger ports really aren't a problem in this regard. There's enough transition that I don't have to reposition.
Unload, show clear.
This stage requires that the shooter engage 2 targets from each of the positions, going prone next to the blue barrels and standing next to the tires, The shooter will go down and back across the range to complete the stage. The terrain is angled downwards towards these targets, which is why you see me cupping the magazines to support the rifle up. I am not using a bipod on this stage because the transition between the two targets would be slower with a bipod than simply moving the rifle. From this position, you'll see that the roll pin on my charging handle fails, which is why the latch goes flying off. Not a big deal to repair later. If you did keep using a charging handle like this without the latch in place, it will break the charging handle. I was surprised to see in the final results that I got an overall stage win on this stage as well. Normally these types of stages favor younger, fitter, more agile competitors, but apparently I'm moving fast enough and getting hits with few enough misses that it gave me the lead. I end up first out of 5 in armored and first out of 29 overall at this match. The shooter starts this stage with empty rifle in hand and transitions their pistol. They must get one hit, top and bottom, on the spinner from each position, then rotate it on the end. At the start, I began with the rifle in my right hand, so it was easier to swing it out of the way and transition to my pistol. The spinner is already rotating as I step into the last box, but I must still get one hit. I get the overall win on this stage. On this stage, the shooter must carry this weight from barrel to barrel, and they must get 2 hits on the square and knock down one of the tiny targets from each position. And to force a reload, you only start with 3 rounds in the gun. It's important to keep the gun up when moving on a stage like this so you minimize your re-sight acquisition time from each position. I was first armored and second overall on this stage. This stage begins with a 100-yard bonus shot with pistol. If you achieved it, you got minus 60 seconds. I didn't get it. Then the shooter had to reholster from prone, which was particularly inconvenient. The shooter then loads their rifle and has to get 2 hits on a 100-yard target and 2 hits on the 200-yard target from each of the following positions. I am using the SIG Romeo 4T and the Juliet 3 power magnifier, both of which will be reviewed on an upcoming episode of In Range. So there were several people that got the minus 60-second bonus for hitting the handgun bonus target, but I was so much faster on the rifle portion of the stage that I still ended up with the overall stage win on this one.
All right, 6690.
I was first out of 9 in Armored Division and first out of 28 overall at this match. Well, that's it for June 2020 matches. Please check out my optics and product reviews on In Range TV. Thank you for watching. Come back again for more match and multi-gun competition content.